Hello guys, hope you're doing well. This is TJ and you're listening to Beyond the Ring podcast. This is my review of Impact Wrestling, and this week's Impact Wrestling was kind of different as we seen in many weeks, because this week's Impact Wrestling was kind of building up the storyline, playing out the angles that's being made for the pay-per-view that's coming on June 12th against All Odds pay-per-view. So that was great. They did a great job in that. But in terms of wrestling, I would say you would not find good quality of wrestling in this show. But nonetheless, there was some good to average, okay to average matches. I would say you can say good as well if you want, if you love Impact Wrestling. So I am not kind of a very strong fan of Impact or something, but I like Impact Wrestling. What they are doing, good in their own rights. After opening that forbidden door, they are doing good actually, and some surprising announcement as well in this show, and next week's show as well. So we get into that. So before I get into this review, please be sure to like this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel for more wrestling content like this. So without any further ado, let's get into this review then. This week's Impact Wrestling show, the way they produced this show was very kind of different than we saw some last weeks, in many weeks I would say, because this was not a wrestling show as I thought, because they really did all the building, the story, all the matches that's gonna be kind of all the touching the touch points and all that was being done in the show. And that's a very important thing in wrestling if you want to build a pay-per-view. And I would say that. But the wrestling in the show we got was not kind of expected, I would say. But the building, the angle, the segments that they play out told a very good pace to the show actually. And it didn't feel like it was boring. So it was a nice change, I would say. Because over and over again putting on wrestling, very good wrestling matches. And I mean, this is also important for a show, and it's a one thing show, as you see. So I'm not complaining about this. I'm very enjoyed this show, even though the wrestling quality was not that good. Please do comment on your thoughts. How did you like this show? So we get into this review then. So if you don't know, VBD, Violent by Design, uses the Call Your Shot trophy and cashes in on Finn Juice last week, and that's the shocking thing that's happened, and we didn't expect. And they became the new tag team champions, and that was obvious because they had cut the promo actually, that Finn Juice, they are going to Japan. They definitely are not going to take that Impact World Tag Team Championship to Japan and all, because that's not happening. Yeah, Kenny Omega is taking over Impact World Champion, and you're it's just like buying out the promotion. So that was not happening. So pretty shocking actually. I didn't expect that. So that was a promo that they had shown, the pretty good promo, very good promo that started off the show. So the show starts off with and Rhino and Heath being attacked by Violent by Design, kind of history that was being shown. And actually, eventually Rhino joining Violent by Design and joining kind of a monster type of gimmick. And VBD cuts a promo saying that change is gonna come, and they this is the same promo, I would say. Something changed, and they just say change is inevitable, and changes by design, and it's coming tonight. I felt like it's coming tonight, but we'll get into that. So the first thing what we got, the the pattern of the show was not starting off with a match, because this week we started off with another angle actually. We started off with Sami Callihan. Actually, Sami Callihan kicks off the show. He sits on the chair and in the middle of the ring. And as we know, actually, at Under Siege, he was caused upon the opportunity by the Good Brothers. So Sami says, "I'm not Moose, I'm not Rich Swan, I'm a death machine," he says. And Omega knows he can't beat me. That's why they took off my opportunity, actually. He calls Omega out, but out comes Moose, and Moose says that until against all odds, Omega is my business, and after I beat him, then you can continue with what you want to say, and after that I will beat you as well, as Moose says confidently. And Moose says, you didn't beat 5 other guys at Under Siege, and that's correct. And Sami says, they didn't take out you because you can be managed by Omega, but I can't, because that's why good brothers take me out in that 6-man match. So that's very good explanation right there. So right out of the bat, that tension was there in this promo, a great promo to further out the storyline. And then out comes the Good Brothers. They praise the Lord and says Hallelujah. And they say Moose is a number one contender, kind of siding with Moose or trying to having a deal or something that they do. Don Callis does as well, kind of friendship with him. At last, Moose says to Sammy, "You see, Sammy, they are with me, but I am with not them." And he clubs Carl Anderson with that clothesline. That was great turn. And Sammy tries to pile drive Big LG, but they escape and runs out. And in the backstage, they are pissed, and Don Callis is with them. And Don Callis says, "I'm the UP. I will be making the matches tonight. I'm the UP around here." As he was not saying last week or so, as Scott Demore says that you can contribute me in EVP or something. He says that it's your thing, and now he's acting as an EVP because it's his own business actually. It has happened to his own business. That's why he books a tag team match between Moose and Callahan versus the Good Brothers. Good booking there. Classic booking there, and I was excited for this tag team match to see. This is a good promo talk by all of them. No nonsense, straight to the point. I liked how they started the show. Nice opening. This was a thought for my opening. And next we saw Don Callis is outside Omega's locker room. He asked about the booking. He says, "I am the EVP around here, and I make matches. I earn money and all." He just brags about him. And Scott Demore comes up and says, "Happened to listen this," and he had booked match, and he's happy with the match that he had come up with. And Don Callis prior to this had said he was not interested in booking. Actually, if you have seen last week or so, he had said that Don Callis was in the hurry, and because he wanted to get Omega ready. So Scott asks. Gia Miller, who interviews every other interview, ask what's Kenny Omega getting ready for? Don't know. They didn't show up. Kenny Omega didn't show up in this show. I actually thought about he's coming out after this promo or something, but he was not in this show. So the first match, then we finally got it was the tag team match: Pete Williams versus Josh Alexander versus TJP and Falaba. So another interesting thing that this show all the matches were tag team matches. In not a singles match was there, not a singles kind of competition was there in this show actually. So I was worried about the show actually, but they surprisingly didn't messed it up. All the tag team matches were, I would say, pretty good to good, I would say. Some average things as well. We would talk about that. So into the match, the story about this match we saw in the Swingers Palace actually last week. Four of them arguing with each other. They said that TJP has better chemistry with Falaba, but Williams says I have more chemistry with the X Division champion. So that makes it match a simple storyline that had happened in Swingers Palace last week. That is what made this match one of storyline for this show, I think so. And Pete and TJP had some good moments here and there, and Josh and TJP as well. They had some good moments because they actually have the space and some pace and all. Falaba actually worked as good as well as on his size. He actually maneuver. He actually done. Tried to have a keep up, but he was not unable to. TJP tried him, but TJP falls down, and then we saw a big splash by him as well. That was right onto the stomach of Pete Williams. Right on the stomach of Josh Alexander actually, and that was very painful actually. And this was a fun opening tag match. Fala with this huge weight and power advantage with splash and all. Samoan drop we saw, and Pete and TJP brings upon some pace and some usual good to see maneuvers as well. Interesting part is TJP and Falaba picks up the win, but TJP picked up the win and he pinned the X Division champion Josh Alexander, and that felt like they are going with this angle, and I'm very into that because TJP is just grinding and grinding over and over since many weeks, and he's not getting any kind of a championship opportunity or something. I'm glad it's a great addition to the Impact Wrestling. When he came, I just thought that he's just for some weeks or something, but I think the relationship is gone forward very much, and that's the deal they are going with. But he is in the contract, I think so, with New Japan Strong and New Japan Wrestling itself. But that exchange is going on. Forbidden door is open of Impact Wrestling, so that's what is happening. So wrestling world is very different, and WWE, as I saw, I read about him. I'm very excited. They are in talks with New Japan as well. Nick Khan, the president of WWE. Is in discussion with the NGPW for their talents and exchanging talents. So that's another thing that I just want to tell about. So very different wrestling. That's wrestling world is evolving many fold actually. It's very different from what we see 5 to 10 years ago. So maybe see some war or something, don't know. So next we go to the Will Morrissey sit down interview with Gia Miller. Will says that every time he was on the lowest point they laughed at him, and when he returned after 3 years they contacted me. Now they wanted to become friends. His gimmick is like he's in a trauma or experience that he had that from his peer in his 3 years actually. He's an anti-friendship guy and doesn't care about humanity, honesty and all. And lastly he says, who's laughing now? He asks about him, and Swan says super kicks, just like he attacked last week. Unpredictably, Swan attacked super kicks on the jaw of Mill, and security separate them, and that's it. We didn't see some brutal attack, just like Morrissey did. So Morrissey versus this one is going to be good because this one, as I said, play last week as well. I like this booking, and because this one actually plays a very good baby face, so that's going to be good. So next we saw commercial of Impact Wrestling special look kind of documentary that is coming out. This is called as Knockouts, focusing on the Knockouts women's division. So that's great. Everyone is doing now. A&E is doing WWE thing. So we have Dark Side of the Ring doing. We have WWE icons of WWE itself. And why can't Impact us as well? So they are doing as well. So next we got backstage promo, and we know that Jordan Grace has replaced Taylor Wilde. I don't know why Taylor Wilde didn't came, because Taylor Wilde was being pushed into this main event scene, but Taylor Wilde was not there. I searched about it, the news or something, but I didn't got anything. So that was a announcement on this backstage promo that was being there. So Jordan Grace replaced Taylor Wilde, she being not there, for whatever reason. Match second, this was a 10-woman tag team action which was actually announced last week. This Susan, Kimberly, Kiera Hogan, and Dasha Shields versus Diana Purrazzo, the knockout champion, versus Havoc, Jordan Grace, Rachel Ellering, Tanner Dashwood, and Rosemary. So lots of name there. I'm just reading out. You can remember these all names. Hell no. And even not Josh Alexander, Josh Smith, I think so, the commentator, that he cannot as well. Not he says that match starts off with a Havoc and trying match starts off Havoc actually, the big girl, the big monster, trying one by one, trying clotheslining one by one. Some controlled by heels, some controlling by heels on Grace after that. And this is a normal match, I would say. Not pretty much. The pace was slow. Just a heel tactics that was going on. Some here and there moves by Dasha Steels and Kiera Hogan. And the finish we saw, Havoc had both Dasha and Kiera in her grasp, in her hand. Susan throws of the shows that hits right to the both of their heads, Dasha's and Kiera's head. And then that results in Kira and Dasha brawling with Susan and Kimberly on the outside. Diana Purrazzo have that distraction. That's because of that, and for that reason, Rosemary with a double underhook sit down neck breaker kind of maneuver, and she gets the pin. And that was surprising, man, because I didn't expect Diana Purrazzo to be just a small kind of distraction that she had, because camera showed just a glimpse of that, and then she just abrupt ending was that. I don't. She was not injured or something, but I don't know why they. I don't have any problem like Rosemary versus Leona Purrazzo for the Knockout Women Championship. But the finish that they had, they should have dragged upon something, or because that was very lame finish, I would say. So that's not how you book like a very dominant champion she had. She's been champion from November 2020. From She won in Turning Point actually. It's a very lengthy reign actually, 6 months or so. Yeah, no, December, January, February, March, April. May. Yeah, 6 months, 6 months, seven, gonna be 7 months. So that's not the thing how you have a pin from a on a champion, because it's the first time. It's not a kind of every time. It's not kind of. It's one of the dominating champion in the Impact Wrestling actually. So nonetheless, he could get Wild versus Rosemary or something. I thought about that for the number one contenders, because I thought that she would be coming back next week, spot for the knockout champion. But that was not the case, because later in the show, after the show actually, we got the announcement that it would be Rosemary versus Diana Poroza for the Knockouts Tag Team Championship, which is, I think so, it's gonna be next week. I think it's gonna be next week. And then we saw flashback moments of the week, where it was this was a match between Bobby Roode and Eric Young in 2016. That short clips they show in every show. So next we got Josh Alexander. He says, he had this backstage interview or something. He says that he had a lot of challenges, but TJ pinned him, and he says that we got to do it one more time as I pinned you. Two pinning by new challenges tonight. One was Rosemary and second TJP. So the pinning that's being done in the show was very huge, because new challenges were being getting pinned on the championship actually. First was TJP and then it was Rosemary. Scott Demore praises them about how they are greatest assets to the X division, and it's indeed. And he says next week on BTI, and they are just promoting that show all in, because, and he says next week it's gonna be an entire 60-minute Iron Man match for the X Division Championship between Josh Alexander and TJP, and that's gonna be great, man. I haven't seen 60-minute matches in a long time. Have you seen in any other promotion? No, no. And this and BTI, I suppose it's a free thing that they are doing in the before the Impact. That's a full form, and they does in the YouTube, and this is gonna be great. I think so. I hope they steal on the show. Hope we get a match of the week or something next week. I do think so. I have great expectation, lot of expectation from this match. I love Josh Alexander. So one of my favorite wrestlers in Impact Wrestling. TGP as well. He also does technical wrestling well, very well, and his athleticism is off the chart. We have seen in New Japan Strong how talented he is, and he's better off after leaving WWE. He was confined into that cruiserweight division, and it's good now. I would say it's something different. We haven't seen Impact. I think Impact. I felt like that Impact is really serious to get back some eyeballs, and they are taking every step up a step up a step up after step after step, baby steps, I would say, as well. No promotion, like competing with AEW, and that when that Forbidden Door actually was opened by Impact, they entirely was changed after that. They are not doing bad. They are just doing very good, I would say, and they're just doing their own right. And WWE is know that, because there's competition, and they if they act like they are the only company, like they used to tell other from the pro wrestling landscape, and they would be into a wrong position. That's why Nick Khan is doing the smartest thing, that's his because he should use the opportunity that he gets, else the moment will be gone, and then there's no point to say anything. So that's a good decision by Nick Khan, I would say. Next we got a good video package of Rohit Raju and Jake something, which we had last week actually. We had where Rohit Raju picked up the win by the interference of Shera actually, and they started off together, and they are going to have a tables match actually next week. And Rohit Raju cuts a very fiery promo, and he's good at promo. He's from India actually, but he cuts a very good promo. First match was good. I liked it. Small versus big psychology was great. That match, the opening match they had last week actually, that was great. Eager to see this one as well. So Impact has one of the deepest roster, I would say. No one is doing bad into the bad storyline or something. Everyone is doing something or the other. They are not just feeling or something, and they are doing good. Everyone is doing something or the, and I likes about this. That's the thing I liked about Impact Wrestling. I would talk about it in the forward. Next we got, there was Violent by Design in ring promo. And this was great as well. I'm digging violent by design, and they say some kind of feeling as a I kind of feel as a catalyst to this whole show. They are the catalyst to this whole show to move, because after they were formed, they have been interesting to see, I would say. Some weeks it was not interesting, as I stated that just doing promo, it's not good. For 2 weeks, 3 weeks to the max, it's good. But over and over, you're just doing the promo and all, not coming to the action, it's not good. So I was glad that last week they had that impact with that collier shot thing. I didn't expect that's going to happen. And yet Young describes the meaning of violence as they are the path of violence, as they say. And um, uh, and they loves to being part of chaotic and disturbing thing. And then he describes each and every members of his team actually. And Young would have been so good in WWE, man. I just felt about that. If they had given him the opportunity, he would have been a world champion as well. But it's all the wins kind of thing. He doesn't see small guys as a world champion. That's it. Every time he just seen Rey Mysterio, because I don't know, there's a small percentage that he sees. So then he says everywhere around the regions and the world start accepting us. They had also addressed Finjuice as well, by which they gained the tag team championship as well. So this was a great promo. You should watch this promo. And they uh, Eric Young single-handedly cut this promo. Eric Young actually said that also said all about the members, how they were formed, how they were, how they actually, how he created them to open their eyes. I actually love that kind of promos when you create something or something, that illusion type of something. I love that thing. So Eric Young did really great job. So the segments that were in the show and the backstage promo segments, all in all, were very good. None of the segments, and thankfully, man, we didn't got Swingers Palace. I don't like it, seriously. So that we didn't got it. So this was not the only thing that they were in the ring, because this was the opportunity to make the debut to of Satoshi Kojima, which we have and which he had, and which he in fact announced last week actually. So lights go out. It's Satoshi Kojima, and he stares down Joe Doring. If they also state Joe Doring was in NJPW, and they had that fair kind of history, and they had a face-off, and they have a crossover history, and this crossover thing, and that history and that storyline playing, it's so well doing. It's so doing so well in Impact Wrestling. I mean, it's so Impact Wrestling is doing that great thing, and AEW is not kind of doing much about that Impact storyline or something. But Impact is getting that benefit so much, I would say. So they are literally having that opportunity as much as possible. So because of the Forbidden Door is open, with some promotion that would be great for both actually. But they don't want to be like other company surpass. But they don't want to other companies surpass popularity in W, because they're just coming close, I would say. They are coming close to WWE, AW. They are just being noticed right now, I would say. And if you're not Impact Wrestling fan, you should watch this show. This is the right time to get into Impact Wrestling. Very good wrestling, very good storylines going on right now. So Satoshi Kojima said, he says, against all odds, Joe Doring, and the match is set as I felt, that against all odds, and they get announced that Kojima versus Joe Doring, Violent by Designs, Joe Doring, and challenge is accepted. And last week attacked by, then we saw next that was last week attacked by Myers on Cardona, and this is going to be a good match, man. Just wait a minute, I would get into that the next week this segment. Satoshi Kojima versus Joe Doring, they had the history, and this should be good match. Just two big guys and a slobber knocker, just like Yuji Nagata. They had the strong style wrestling going on in New Japan, and that's good when they does that. So next we got last week attacked by Myers actually, and Myers on Cardona. This guy's mad, man. I mean, his guy's finished and just. GML asks us about his condition to the doctor, and doctor says he had a fractured orbital bone. He would be out for 12 weeks, and he's legitimately out for 12 weeks, as we get announced. And Miles comes, interrupts, and says, "Why are you guys talking about Cardona?" And he says, "I could make Cardona never return to the ring again." Other guy, a new guy or something, comes out. And he says, "Am I disturbing?" And he says, you are." And Miles says he would be teaching him a lesson for disturbing. He just asked if we would have gone away, kid. This guy is mad. You could have not, but it's a moment for you. Next we got Violent by Designs. Joe Doring says, coming to the backstage at challenge accepted, and out comes laughing crazy Steve. And this was also interesting segment. Steve actually mocks Dina for living in the shadow of Young, and you were in the other shadow, and you were now in the shadow of Eric Young. And Dina didn't like that. Dina says, "You are nothing but a clown, and we are the tag team champion." He says, and promos and segments were a lot, but all of them made sense either to start off rivalry. And I think this they are gonna be having that singles rivalry. So everyone, Joe Doring versus Satoshi Kama, he has his own rivalry. So they are not doing the tag team thing, because they already have done in two pay-per-views or one pay-per-view, last pay-per-view they had did. So they had not forget, they every members are focusing on their own story. And we have now Crazy Steve versus Diener. So this would be a very faction versus a good faction. And if you see Impact's roster, man, you should pay attention to that. So many dark and intimidating and sadistic characters they have. If you see WWE, did they have? We have Alexa Black, Alexa Bliss, Fiend, uh, three guys. That's not a. But these guys, Impact Wrestling, have this whole faction actually of multiple kind of thing, sadistic nature, that intimidating stuff. And I mean, it's quite surprising, and they are not bad either, and they are really doing good. And when we compare to AEW or WWE as well, uh, they are not on that kind of planning. I'm not just comparing. Not just comparing. Just saying that I just found out the different that I thought about. I'm just clearing out that. So by the way, I like the theme of DK. That's a very fun to listen. Listen, that's a very good thing. Third match, which was a tag team match again, as this show was full of tag team matches. DK, Black Taurus, and Crazy Steve versus Swingers, Hernandez and Johnny Swinger, actually Swingers Palace, actually, that they have. So this was a okay match, I would say. Some fast takedowns by Steve. Impact's tag team is looking very good, man. They have the deepest roster and tag team as well. Women's roster as well is very looking good, and this is the one of the best period of Impact Wrestling, I would say. Not kind of, I would say, TNA days. You cannot compare that with this with thing. The product is entirely different right now, but they are doing good and their own right, and they can really compete with AEW, and that's the second biggest promotion, I would say. So you are competing with AEW, then that's good. And whole in all, this match was nothing to care about that much. A fun, fast-paced, average tag team match. Wasn't boring, I would say, but there was a pace. The finish, we saw Steve with the DDT, which I think he missed actually to hit his head on the mat actually. Nevertheless, they he sold it actually, and DK got the win. Steve didn't hit the head to the mat, so nevertheless he sold it, and DK get the win then. And next we are getting the matches. These are the matches before the Impact. Josh Alexander versus TJP for the X Division Championship, a 60-minute Iron Man match. Great. I'm very excited. Rohit Raju versus Jake Summing. I am also excited for that as well. It's going to be a good match. It's a tables match. And Satoshi Kojima versus Diener as well. And that's as well would be very good. And next week Impact as well is packed as well. Some great matches we're going to see. So then we also have Fire and Flavor going on one versus Grace and Ellering for the Knockouts Tag Team Championship. I think they are they are overdoing it right now, just like WWE does the Women's Tag Team Championship thing. Again, rematches. I think the team got the win. That's the explanation that they didn't say it. That would be kind of the explanation that would be coming to this match, doing this match. So pack show next week as well. Great singles wrestling match would be there as well. So next match of the week contender is coming. I am feeling like that. May they put on a very good match. So next we got the main event, which was, as we had seen in the opening, Moose and Sami Callihan versus the Good Brothers. And there's a strong difference. So there's a story to this match that Moose contract runs off next month, and before that he wants to win that Impact World Championship. And he also said that, what am I going to do next, as Josh Matthews was saying. He actually also said NXT. He didn't say that next, he just said that NXT. So they were clearly saying the NXT. They did it, because you don't need to tell particularly single out word by word. So I think that they were just really selling that NXT, and they are not, Impact uh, is not like not forgetting that there's no wrestling promotion, because they already opened it, and now they are open, and they should tell all about the thing, and they all know about, they do all the things of, they do know all the things about it. And Callian starts off the match then, and they have some early heat, interested to, no one, either one is interested to listen to who's gonna come out and all, and they frequent tags to each other. Moose is unhappy on the Moose actually chops on the chest of Callahan to tag him, and some back and forth control were there. And then we saw a Moose crossbody, which was great, man. Big size guys doing this kind of stuff. It's a very treat to watch. It's a very good to watch as well. In the finish of the match, we saw this was a good tag team match. I would say top guys wrestling, but more than that, the story that they played out, because there was smelling of dissension, not a dissension, I would say that's not the right word, but there was kind of the problems going on between Sami Callihan and Moose, and Moose didn't want to do this match at the first place. Moose was pushing around, and at the time, Callihan actually, at a point, Callihan tags Moose, blind tags him, and Moose is not interested. And Moose actually pushes him, and Sami Callihan then pushes him, and Sami Callihan just pointed out him and was going to pile drive Carl Anderson actually, and Moose with a pump kick to Sami, and Sami is rolled out by Carl, but no. And then Sami with a kick to the chest of Moose. Sami runs into the spine buster, but that distraction caused getting spine buster for Carl Anderson. And Anderson tags Big LG, and a Magic Color picks up the win. They gets the win out there, and they get the hell out of there. After this, they don't want to be present in this business, because these two had their own things that was going to happen. This, because Sami Callihan was, as Sami tries to recover, while Moose is waiting for him to hit that massive spear, and he hit that. Moose says, then shared of my business, and it's okay main event, but the story was more important here, and the storyline angle, the all the booking stuff, all the things that you can if you want to say the booking languages. So that was all in the show, and this show was had done very good work for building up the matches for the Against All Odds pay-per-view, which is gonna come on June 12th, as that is getting closer and closer, and that's a good about what they are doing, building up a pay-per-view. That's a very good thing that they're doing what is expected to do. But the wrestling was not much there in this show, so that was a bummer for this show. So all in all, this was a tag team. All matches were tag team, not a singles match. But all the tag team matches, I would say, was not very bad. I would say, or only I would say was bad was the 10 woman tag team match, which was not interesting, and that was kind of average, I would say. You can say poor dirt as well, just there actually. But I like this pattern. It's the because this pattern that they had produced with the show was so different than many ways, if you think about. But I like the new changes that they're doing. They have done in this week, and it's hell, it's only for a one show. You can always have that next week, and you can do that in ring stuff. And Impact Wrestling have some good matches in every wrestling episode you can see. Not all episode you would be saying that like excellent or something, but they put on good to pretty good show, or very good shows as well. So they are doing a very good job. I felt like that, but overall I enjoyed this episode. Impact segments were good. Upon pretty much every storyline, I would say. A really good enjoyable show. In terms of wrestling, that was not the case. And next week, this is a card 60-minute match, could maybe be a match of the year or match of the week. Probably I am expecting that. So that's the show. Please do put on your comment section, in the comment section below, how did you thought about what did you thought about this show. Did you enjoy this show? Because this was a very different kind of show. I enjoyed this show because they did what all they didn't have the wrestling stuff that they are good at, but they did have the debut of Satoshi Kojima, and we They played out very good segments and promos. Moose and Callahan is some of the interesting thing. Violent by design as well, interesting as well. So many things interesting as well. Laying out the storylines, planning for that, booking for the pay per view against all odds. So it looks interesting, man. Next week as well, we're gonna get very good matches. So I like the show. Please put on the comment section below how do you what would you thought about this show, and how are you going to, what's your prediction for Moose versus Kenny Omega that's going to happen in the pay per view, and what's the card you expect, and who's going to be the exhibition champion next week? Will there going to be a title change or something? I don't think so. In my prediction, I don't think so. Josh Alexander is doing good, but maybe if they are down the line, they are going to drag into the pay-per-view in against all odds. They if they're having a rematch or something, some decisive thing, the decisive story should they play out, if they are planning to do the rematch at against all odds. So that I think about that. So please put on the comments all the thoughts, all the suggestions on my podcast. And before going out, I would be very grateful if you like my video, share my video, subscribe to my channel for more wrestling content like this. And I will be coming out the AEW Dynamite, AEW Double or Nothing predictions. So excited for that as well. Every matches are very great. Only the Cody versus Anthony Ogogo, and that match is very interesting as well. If you see, because Anthony Ogogo is a new guy, I haven't seen that much, but if you look this guy, he's a very good. If you see his type of wrestling, he's an MMA guy. He's trained in that. So very good shows coming up, and pretty busy weekend for me, for wrestling fans and wrestling world as well. So please check out my channel every now and then, because I would be putting out new contents in this week. Some Tomorrow it's SmackDown and GP Double Strong. So that's out. That should be out next. Tomorrow, and then we have AEW Dynamite as well, the Friday special episode, and Double or Nothing, man. Very excited for Inner Circle versus Pinnacle match, and triple threat match as well, AEW Championship. That would be interesting as well. Maybe they would, if they would pull some shocker like Orange Cassidy winning the championship. That would be way shocker. I don't think so, but maybe they could pull a shocker, because this is the second biggest pay per view of their brand, after All Out, after All In actually. So pretty excited for that. Comment down your sound of your comments in the comment section below. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. Be safe and stay energetic always, and I'll be motivated as well. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.